Hi, my name's Ryan Fowler, and welcome to the Offshore Asset Protection Secrets video series. This is part 4. A little bit about myself. I'm an asset protection, estate planning, and global investing consultant. I have a nationwide clientele. Their net worth ranges from about $200,000 to over $100 million. I'm the co-author of Asset Protection in Financially Unsafe Times, which is one of the best-selling asset protection books on Amazon.com, and it is the highest reviewed book of its class on Amazon.com. So today we're going to be talking about the 3 biggest offshore asset protection mistakes. The first mistake is to use an international business corporation, which we call IBCs for short. IBCs do not have charging order protection. And to make a long story short, charging order protection means if someone sues you and you own an offshore entity, charging order protection keeps that person from getting the assets inside the entity. It keeps them from gaining control of the entity. It keeps them from gaining ownership of the entity. Unfortunately, IBCs, like all corporations, have corporate stock. And if I were a creditor and I knew someone had an IBC, I'd get the judgment in the United States. And then I just have to enter the judgment in that foreign jurisdiction. Now I can grab the corporate stock in that foreign jurisdiction to satisfy my judgment. Once I have 51% of voting stock, I vote to liquidate that IBC and I get all the assets as they come out and your IBC just failed. So that's a huge chink in the armor. Again, a properly structured offshore LLC or offshore trust does not have that weakness. So really no reason to use an IBC. Furthermore, IBCs are subject to complex tax rules. You have to worry about whether or not it's a controlled foreign corporation. Usually it is. And if it is, then you have complex reporting requirements, and you have to worry about what's called subpart F income. It's just a big mess. Stick to offshore trusts and LLCs instead is my opinion. No benefit to an IBC. The second mistake is people use Panamanian Foundations for asset protection. A foundation, as you might guess, is meant to have a charitable purpose. So if you put your assets into the foundation and then you want to benefit from those assets in some manner, well, guess what? That's not a charity. So anytime you get something in front of a U.S. judge where it's supposed to be doing one thing but it's doing another thing, it looks very suspicious, it looks very suspicious and fishy. You're going to get the judge on your bad side right away, and that's just not a good thing. Furthermore, Panamanian Foundations are complex. Their requirements that you need at least 3 people in Panama to be on the board of directors. With an offshore trust, you need an offshore trustee and maybe also a good idea to have a protector. A protector basically makes sure the offshore trustee does his job and doesn't do anything shady. And so there's less people required for an offshore trust. There's only one person required for an offshore LLC, the offshore manager. So there's simpler structures. And they're just as effective. They're actually more effective because there's no conflict between, well, it's supposed to be for a charitable purpose, but that's not what I'm using it for. Furthermore, the tax treatment of Panamanian Foundations is kind of murky. We think it's taxed like an offshore grant or trust. We're not exactly sure, though. And so because of that, why even go through that ambiguity? Just stick with an offshore trust or offshore LLC. And if you do have a bona fide international charitable giving need, we recommend the Purpose Trust. Now, Purpose Trusts, I wouldn't use them in most situations for asset protection because the Purpose Trust is an offshore trust with no beneficiaries. Instead, it serves a purpose, such as some type of charitable purpose, or that purpose could be just to hold the ownership of some type of entity that manages your other foreign or offshore or domestic entities. And so Purpose Trust can be good for that. A Purpose Trust I'd like more than a Panamanian Foundation if you have charitable giving needs, because again, you only need one trustee and a protector. You don't need a board of 3. And its tax treatment is much more clear. For asset protection, again, most of the times not appropriate. Purpose Trust usually works better for charitable needs. There may be times where a Purpose Trust for asset protection in some situations is okay, but I would generally avoid it. The bottom line is don't use an offshore entity just because it sounds cool or exotic or sexy. You need to know what is the right tool to use in which circumstance. So in the next video, we're going to be talking about offshore banking. That's part 1 of a 2-part series, and I'll see you in the next video. So if you found this inside information helpful, Be sure to get the complimentary ebook version of Asset Protection in Financially Unsafe Times, and also get the free video tip series emailed to your inbox. And also find out for a limited time only how you can have a 20-minute consultation with me so I can answer your questions and discuss solutions for your specific situation. You get all this for free. Just go to www.offshoreassetprotectioninformation.com and sign up. I'll see you there.